The new gold rush. When you think of a billion-dollar gold rush, you probably picture the Wild West. Prospectors with pickaxes chasing glittering veins of ore buried deep in the earth. But what if I told you the biggest gold rush of the 21st century isn't for a shiny metal, but for lines of code? And it's not happening in Silicon Valley. It's happening right here in Africa. In cities like Lagos, a tech ecosystem valued at around $15 billion is exploding, growing faster than nearly any other city on the planet. Global investors, from venture capitalists to the biggest names in tech, are pouring in billions, all betting on a new generation of innovators. In the first half of 2025 alone, African startups raised a staggering $1.4 billion, a 78% jump from the year before. This isn't a story about charity or aid. It's a story about strategic investment, explosive growth, and world-changing innovation. The question is no longer if Africa will be a tech powerhouse, but whether the rest of the world is ready. So why are the world's smartest investors suddenly betting billions on African startups? And what do they expect in return? We're following the money to find out. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on Africa's tech revolution. Chapter 1. The Old Frontier and the New Opportunity. So, how did we get here? To really understand this tech gold rush, you have to understand the ground it's built on. For decades, the story of business in many parts of Africa was defined by massive systemic challenges. But these weren't just problems, they were multi-billion-dollar opportunities waiting for a solution. Take finance. For hundreds of millions of people, getting basic financial services was a nightmare. Imagine spending hours in a line just to pay a bill, or being completely shut out from getting a loan because you don't have a formal credit history. This was the everyday reality. In a country like Nigeria, over 40% of adults were unbanked, relying almost entirely on cash. This created huge friction in the economy, locking up incredible potential. And it wasn't just finance. In healthcare, getting quality medicine often felt like a lottery depending on where you lived. In farming, smallholders, the backbone of many economies, were stuck in broken supply chains, losing a huge slice of their profits to middlemen and spoilage. Even just moving goods from point A to point B could be a costly, unpredictable mess. For a long time, global investors saw these issues as risks, as insurmountable barriers. The story they told was all about what Africa lacked, but they were missing the bigger picture. Looking at the continent through an outdated lens and failing to see the tectonic shifts happening just beneath the surface. What they saw as problems, a new generation of African entrepreneurs saw as a to-do list. They didn't just know about these challenges, they lived them. They understood the frustrations, the nuances, and most importantly, the massive demand for something better. Armed with technology, they realized they didn't have to wait for the old systems to be fixed. They could just build new ones. And that's the big idea driving Africa's tech revolution, turning the continent's biggest headaches into its biggest business opportunities. The lack of banks sparked a fintech explosion. The gaps in healthcare became a breeding ground for health tech. The broken supply chains kicked off a revolution in agritech. The old frontier of problems created the perfect conditions for a new frontier of solutions. And that's where the gold rush truly begins. Chapter 2. The Heroes. A new generation of innovators. The real engine behind all this isn't a natural resource or a government plan. It's people. Specifically, the youngest population on Earth. Over 60% of Africa's population is under 25. That's not just a demographic stat. It's the continent's single greatest competitive advantage. This is a generation that is digitally native, endlessly creative, and deeply impatient with the way things are. They aren't just using technology, they're building it, shaping it to solve the problems right outside their door. This has led to a uniquely African approach called leapfrogging. Innovators here aren't just copying Silicon Valley, they're creating brand new solutions for local realities, often skipping traditional infrastructure entirely because, well, it often doesn't exist. The classic example is Kenya's M-Pesa. It turned the simple mobile phone into a bank for millions, long before mobile pay was a big deal in Europe or America. It didn't try to fix the old banking system, it just jumped right over it. That same spirit is now firing up every other sector, creating a new class of heroes, the founders. Let's start in Lagos, Nigeria, a city recognized as one of the fastest-growing tech hubs in the world. Its ecosystem value has skyrocketed, producing several billion-dollar companies, or unicorns in the process. This is the heart of the fintech revolution. For years, sending money across Africa was a mess of high fees and slow transfers. Then, companies like Flutterwave came along. Started by Nigerian founders, it built a single payment platform that lets a business in Kenya easily take money from a customer in South Africa, or even the US. They basically built the digital plumbing for commerce across the continent, processing billions of dollars from millions of businesses. Before them, another Lagos startup, Paystack, made online payments so simple and elegant that it was bought by US fintech giant Stripe for over $200 million. That deal sent a shockwave through the global investment community. It was a huge stamp of approval. African startups weren't just solving local problems, they were building world-class tech. Today, companies like OPay and MoneyPoint are putting digital banking tools into the hands of tens of millions of people, many for the very first time. In Nairobi, Kenya's Silicon Savannah, Leapfrog Innovation is tackling agriculture and healthcare. Twiga Foods connects farmers directly to vendors, ensuring fair prices and reducing waste. M-Pharma partners with drugstores to manage inventory and negotiate lower prices, making medicine more affordable. These founders aren't just building apps. They're building the pillars of a modern digital economy. They are the heroes of this story, turning obstacles into infrastructure and proving that the best innovations often come from those who know the problem best.
Chapter 3: Following the Money. Innovation alone is not enough. Ideas must meet investment. Vision must meet capital. And in Africa's tech revolution, the money has arrived. Global investors, from venture capitalists to multinational tech giants, are pouring billions into African startups. They are no longer hesitant. They are no longer observers. They are active participants in a rapidly expanding ecosystem. Why? Because the opportunity is undeniable. Africa's markets are large, young, and growing. The problems that once scared investors now represent massive untapped potential. High fees, slow payments, limited access, these are not barriers anymore. They are blueprints for solutions. In the first half of 2025 alone, African startups raised over $1.4 billion, a 78% increase from the year before. The Big Four markets, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt, still attract the majority of this investment. But emerging hubs like Kigali, Accra, and Uganda are quickly catching up. Investors are spreading capital across the continent, seeking the next breakthrough. Small towns are seeing micro-investments that create jobs, spark local innovation, and link communities to larger trade networks. Even informal markets are now gaining access to digital platforms that connect them to customers and suppliers far beyond their borders. It's not just small-scale venture capital. The world's largest tech companies are placing long-term bets. Google, Meta, IBM, and Microsoft are investing in Africa's infrastructure, talent, and innovation hubs. Subsea cables like 2Africa and Equiano are being built to bring faster, cheaper, and more reliable internet to hundreds of millions of people. Talent is another magnet for capital. Africa's developers, engineers, and designers are globally competitive. Companies like Andela have proven that training elite African developers creates value for global tech teams while simultaneously building local capacity. The investment story is about more than money. It's about confidence. When billions flow into African startups, it signals something profound. It says Africa is capable. It says African innovators can create world-class technology. It says this is a continent where ideas meet execution, and execution meets capital. Chapter 4. The New Frontiers. This gold rush is far from over. In fact, it's just spreading to new frontiers. While hubs like Lagos and Nairobi are still the powerhouses, a new wave of ecosystems is rising fast. Look at Kigali, Rwanda. With its focus on clean governance and business-friendly policies, it's quickly becoming a magnet for startups, especially in climate and renewable energy. Kampala, Uganda, is another city gaining global recognition for its digital momentum, driven by a fintech boom. Cities like Accra in Ghana and Addis Ababa in Ethiopia are carving out their own niches in education, health tech, and agricultural technology. The money is spreading out, with deals recorded in over 20 African countries just in the first half of 2025. Industries are diversifying too. Fintech may still dominate, but climate tech, agritech, AI, and renewable energy are surging. With tons of sun and large populations living off-grid, Africa is the perfect laboratory for decentralized energy solutions. Startups are scaling solar-powered microgrids, battery storage, and clean energy delivery platforms, creating sustainable communities. Agritech remains a critical focus. Companies are using mobile apps, satellite data, and AI-driven platforms to boost harvests, access loans, and connect directly to markets. This tackles food security, reduces waste, and empowers smallholders economically. Artificial intelligence is emerging as a transformative force. With more data, better connectivity, and a growing developer base, AI solutions are optimizing healthcare, predicting crop yields, and improving credit access. Startups in Addis Ababa and Lagos are already building algorithms that learn from local conditions, creating solutions that global models can't replicate. Yet this growth brings challenges. The race for talent is intensifying as local startups compete with global giants for engineers, designers, and data scientists. Infrastructure gaps, policy questions, and the threat of digital colonialism require careful navigation. But Africa's innovators are resilient. They're building ecosystems that are sustainable, equitable, and uniquely African. The momentum is undeniable. Each new city, each new sector, each new solution adds a layer to the continent's story. Africa is not waiting for permission. It is building the tools, the systems, and the confidence to lead. The gold rush is no longer just an economic phenomenon. It is philosophical, strategic, and generational.
Chapter 5. Expanding Horizons. Africa's tech revolution is no longer confined to Lagos, Nairobi, or Cape Town. A new wave of innovation is spreading across the continent. From Kigali to Accra, from Kampala to Addis Ababa, startups are transforming every sector imaginable. This is a continent that has learned to leapfrog. Where traditional infrastructure is missing, innovators create new systems entirely. Where old barriers persist, they find alternative routes. The lack of banks, roads, or legacy networks is no longer a limitation. It's an invitation to invent. Consider Kigali, Rwanda. With its emphasis on clean governance and business-friendly policies, it has become a magnet for startups, particularly in climate and renewable energy. Entrepreneurs are building solar-powered microgrids, energy-efficient irrigation systems, and sustainable transport solutions. These projects are not just technological feats, they are lifelines for communities, creating jobs, improving living conditions, and reducing environmental impact. Meanwhile, Accra, Ghana, is carving a niche in education, fintech, and digital services. Startups are using mobile apps to bring remote classrooms to villages, teach digital skills, and provide financial literacy to millions who had no access before. Kampala, Uganda, has embraced the fintech boom that connects farmers, traders, and small businesses to real-time market data, loans, and digital payments. Even smaller cities are now hubs for innovation, proving that opportunity is not limited to capitals or coastal cities. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, is becoming a center for AI-driven solutions, from healthcare diagnostics to agricultural forecasting. African innovators are building uniquely African solutions that respond directly to local challenges. Some startups integrate AI with mobile platforms to predict crop yields, prevent disease outbreaks, and provide localized weather alerts. Others use blockchain to secure land titles, track supply chains, and protect small business assets. Industries are diversifying. Fintech remains dominant, but health tech, agritech, renewable energy, and AI are surging. Investors are following talent, ideas, and measurable impact. Small-scale entrepreneurship is creating networks, ecosystems, and infrastructure that support future generations. Challenges remain. Competition for talent is fierce. Infrastructure gaps exist. Policy frameworks must evolve to protect entrepreneurs and consumers. Yet Africa's innovators are proving geography is not destiny. Markets are playgrounds for imagination. The horizons are expanding, literally and metaphorically.
Chapter 6. The future is now. Africa's tech revolution is not a distant story. It is happening now. The breakthroughs, the unicorns, the new ecosystems, they are alive, vibrant, and reshaping the continent in real time. From Lagos to Kigali, from Nairobi to Accra, the pulse of innovation is unmistakable. It's in the way a small vendor accepts mobile payments for the first time. It's in the way a farmer uses a digital platform to sell produce beyond their village. It's in the way a developer codes solutions that address problems no one else has noticed. It's in the way a health tech startup tracks medications to reach remote clinics, ensuring children receive vaccines on time. The future is not waiting for Africa. Africa is building it. Every startup, every founder, every investor is a brushstroke on a canvas stretching from the Sahara to the Cape. The young population, over 60% under 25, is not just a statistic, it is the driving engine. Digital natives, problem solvers, creators, impatient with outdated systems. They see inefficiency and they fix it. They see opportunity and they seize it. The scope is enormous. Fintech revolutionizes payments, lending, and access to credit. Health tech improves medicine distribution, diagnostics, and care. Agritech connects farmers to markets, reduces waste, and boosts yields. Renewable energy startups bring power to communities once left in the dark. AI and blockchain solutions tackle challenges in ways global models cannot replicate. Drones deliver critical supplies to remote villages, reducing delays and saving lives. Investors notice the value. Africa is a source of talent, ideas, and scalable solutions. Global corporations are building infrastructure, hiring developers, and partnering with local startups. Knowledge transfer, mentorship, and capital accelerate growth. Cross-border collaboration is common, creating regional ecosystems where solutions scale quickly. This revolution is cultural, philosophical, and deeply human. It is the reclaiming of agency. It is rewriting Africa's narrative from scarcity to abundance, dependence to self-determination. When communities trade digitally, children access education, and businesses scale beyond cities, power shifts. Challenges remain. Infrastructure gaps, policy hurdles, and global competition persist. Yet the determination is stronger. Entrepreneurs, governments, and communities align to scale innovation sustainably. Challenges are springboards. The future is now. Africa does not wait for permission. It is building boldly and visibly. The tech gold rush is here. Every line of code, every startup, every idea is a declaration. Africa is building the world it wants to see. This is not a story about tomorrow. It is about today, about action, about courage, about possibility. Subscribe, share, and stay tuned, because Africa's future is being written right now, and you can be part of it.